spawning as the Teal Terran. Member of the Team Slayers. His initials stand for something. It's mixed martial arts. He is
known as
Slayers.
Only.
Hey.
And there he is, MMA. Most recent MLG winner. Slayers. MMA.
I like that. We don't have to hear the splash. We can just hear QXC's voice.
And in the left side of the map, the yellow Protoss. Just recently.
퍼즐.
They just don't give you a lot of time for him. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You got like all the time in the world. Maybe they expect, because MMA's a little more well known than Puzzle, they expect we've got more to say, and they're like, oh, this is the yellow Protoss. Puzzle.
Puzzle! So, right now, Puzzle, I'm kind of wondering what kind of build he's going to do. I'm thinking most likely he's going to go for nope, he's just going to go for a 13 gate. I was going to say most likely he's going to go Nexus first, because this is Terminus 3, it's a huge map, and normally you get your gateway on 12, but if you're Puzzle, sometimes you get on 13. Though the difference between a 12 gate and the 13 gate for the nubs is that if you go for a 13 gate and you pylon scout, you don't have to stop mining, but if you go for a 12 gate, then you have to stop mining. But even so, he gateway scouted, so it was kind of weird that he went for the 13 gate, I have to say. A little bit weird, a little bit perplexing. It's a puzzle to me, actually.
Oh, wow, is it?
Yeah.
Is it a puzzle?
Yeah, I find it puzzling.
Wow, really? Do you?
Yeah, a little bit.
You want to talk about how puzzling that was?
I'll talk to you about it after. I want to talk about it in private. I'm a little embarrassed. It's so puzzling. I'm like, whoa, I'm just really puzzled right now, QXC. Just calm down. I'm a little puzzled.
I don't want other people to know how puzzled I am. I don't play Protoss, so I don't know what Wolf was talking about, but Terran's doing pretty standard play. Racks, gas. It looks like he's going to wall in. Maybe. No, he's going 2 racks. Okay. So MMA doing a 2 racks, very standard opening. Very safe.
The reactor first 2 racks is becoming a lot more popular. People were doing the tech lab first and then the reactor for a while, and now people are kind of switching back over. It makes you a little bit vulnerable if something weird happens if you just make the reactor, because during that long period of time you're not making any Marines.
It's on some of the 2-player maps like Zelnaga Caverns, the first Zealot will get to your base and all you have is 1 Marine. And basically you have to pull SCVs to deal with that, but that's like a 10 gate with a chrono boosted Zealot. Most things you'll have 3 Marines to deal with, or if you scout them and you see, and is MMA, they're not watching it, never mind. MMA does deny that probe entry with some very good stutter step micro.
That probe actually looks like it will die.
Yes.
By probe.
And so if we go to
those basically the tech lab is finishing up, and so most likely he's going to research STEM ASAP. ASAP? You got that STEM ASAP?
ASAP.
I'm just talking all weird today, man.
Is he going combat shields?
Yeah, he is.
He is going combat shields, so that's very interesting. Usually when we see this build, you go concussive shells first, and then you follow up with STEM and then combat shields. And the reason, very nice by MMA, catches that Stalker.
It's actually very difficult to do that, because the Stalker is faster than the Marines and outranges it, so if you're on top of the ball and you see that Stalker coming and you move your Marines forward like that, it's not an easy task.
But one thing that is difficult now, if he does decide to pressure, which is usually what you do with the 2 racks, is without concussive shell, he can't really kill anything. Stalkers are going to run away, Zealots can run away, Sentries can run away, but he is going to be able to use this to apply pressure. And the other thing is, Protoss doesn't know he didn't get concussive shell, so he can't risk getting close enough and taking hits.
Exactly. And a lot of players have been skipping those concussive shells here recently to get that faster stim. But the thing is, he's getting combat shields, and that's going to be really, really useful here. Perhaps arguably more useful than stim.
Yeah, I would say so. This is actually a very specific timing attack. Notice combat shields is about to finish.
Yeah, and I think he is going to hit with those shields. The sentries are now down the ramp. The thing about stim is you do a lot of extra damage, but their units are weak. This time he's going to have a lot more hit points.
He does have shield, and I think he's just going to go for it. This is really interesting by MMA. Notice how without concussive shell, the Zealots are going to be doing a lot of damage. But the combat shield gives those Marines an extra hit from the Zealots. Notice how that Marine had just enough health to survive. It takes 4 hits from a Zealot to kill it instead of just 3.
Yeah, and Puzzle is going to go ahead and make his Nexus here pretty soon, I would say. But behind this, MMA is expanding. So that was a timing attack, but not an all-in. Just wanted to put some pressure on, but he's going to go ahead and make that command center now. He has taken just one of his gases. Obviously, hasn't taken the second one just yet. I think most likely we'll see him take that pretty soon and add a factory.
Can we actually go to Puzzle's base? I just want to... Okay, so it is just a standard 2 gas, 3 gate expand versus a 2 racks. And both players expanding at pretty normal timings.
If he had done something a little bit different, like gone for a 1 gate robo, he would have probably died.
Yeah. That's one of the best things about the 2 racks is it does give you a lot of power to punish very fast tech builds, such as like a 1 gate or basically DTs. Any DT build, you can get into their main and like kill them.
Yeah. Any real tech-oriented build, fast tech, greedy tech build, can really come to bite you in that situation.
Yeah, definitely. So here we see they're both contesting for control of the map. Basically just trying to get an eye on what their opponent is doing and forcing the engagements to happen closer to your opponent. And this is something that I don't feel like a lot of people talk about. Think about the difference between losing a battle in your natural versus losing a battle in your opponent's natural.
Exactly.
One of them ends the game, one of them allows the game to keep going. So the further you can push the battles to your opponent, usually the better off you are.
Exactly. So right now, Puzzle is just kind of moving around with his army, like you said, and he's actually going to put a forward pylon down here. Looks like he wants to hit a nice little timing here while his opponent's command center is finishing. I don't know, though. MMA is not going to have stim, but even so, he has so many units. Even having that bunker there is going to be quite useful. You might be thinking, well, he doesn't have that many bunkers, and he has sentries so he can force the bunker. It's just, I think, a matter of how many units MMA has. I think he just has enough to hold this.
It's going to be hard for him to... A true 6-gate timing like this, you wouldn't be able to hold with just 1 bunker and this many units. You really need medevacs and stim, possibly 2 bunkers, but that's not what Puzzle's doing.
Exactly.
Puzzle
He's just doing...
puzzling.
He's puzzling. He's puzzling him. This is quite puzzling. If you saw this attack on me, he's like, oh, I only saw 3 gates, but there's so many units. This is kind of puzzling to me.
Well, this isn't... What I'm thinking is, Puzzle, like, as a 3-gate timing, this isn't actually too crazy. Usually 3-gate expand, 4 gates, timing attack like this. But what Puzzle is doing is trying to make his opponent think he's going 6-gate and he's going to do a big timing attack. What Puzzle is actually doing is he's going Dark Templar.
He's going Dark Templar. He's going to use those DTs to be very annoying. I think the last thing MMA wants to do right now is make a turret at his natural while he's trying to get ready for this. In fact, does he have an engineering bay? He does have an E-bay.
But I don't think he's going to build the turrets. It just doesn't look like DTs.
It doesn't. And in fact, behind this, we can see, oh, hold that thought. Good force fields
big
here.
Battle. Very
a lot
nice.
of zealots running forward.
And he really needs to pick up those units and get them out of there.
Does pick them up and move them behind the force fields. And Puzzle actually having a lot more units here. If he takes out his medevacs, he could be in good shape. But now that Stim is done, it's just very difficult. And not the best control by MMA. He's actually in trouble here.
And interestingly enough, I think Puzzle forgot that he built a Dark Shrine. He warped in 3 more Stalkers instead of 3 Dark Templar.
Yeah, his Shrine is done. He hasn't used it at all.
3 Dark Templar in this... There. Those are the Dark Templar that Puzzle needs. And MMA is just not prepared for this.
He is not. He has no missile turrets. He has enough for 1 scan. 2 scans here pretty shortly.
Oh, no.
But the problem is there are 3 DTs, and they're all going to be in different places. And right now, MMA has a very, very small army.
I'm so sad.
And the DT is going to work in the main and in the natural. QXC is very sad.
I am very sad.
QXC has very bad memories of DTs.
Yep. Every important... Well, not every, but 2 very important games that I lost recently were against this type of play. You're scouting their base, you're like, it's not DTs. It's not DTs. It can't be DTs. Oh my god, there are DTs. What?
Yeah, and well, now the DT this time, again, is just whacking away at that barracks. Needs to target down some stuff. Target down a reactor, a tech lab. See, now it's dead. Didn't really do that much.
But if we take a look at the unit tab, the income tab, I think we'll get the story.
Yeah, the real story, guys, is it's 63 probes, just 31 SCVs. There's a Dark Templar still alive, and MMA is natural. And during all of this, Puzzle is taking a 3rd base. He's got a decently sized army. And it's really, really tough for MMA to come back from here. Looks like he is going to lose this last Dark Templar. Not killing the Ghost Academy. Nothing really else he could have done with that DT. It was kind of trapped back there, nowhere to run.
Yep. And this is a really hard place to be in for MMA. mean, it's basically where he was in the last game. His army is a little bit smaller. Fortunately for MMA, he does have his third up. It's up quite a bit faster than his opponent, but he's got half the workers.
Exactly. But again, he is going to make that third base into an orbital, so he will have a lot of mules. So the income is going to be a little bit less, but with those mules dropping, especially the initial mules, he will be kind of even with his opponent, but in the long run, MMA definitely going to have a better economy.
Puzzle.
Sorry,
Yep.
puzzle. Yep.
Yeah.
So
I knew what you meant. I think everyone else knew what you meant too.
I think so. If they don't, that's kind of weird.
Oh, and now he's going Colossus. This is going to be very hard. And this is actually really good by Puzzle, because the last time this happened in the previous game, he went Zealot. But hold that thought, we got a big drop in the main. MMA going to snipe the Twilight Council. This will stop any upgrades, stops charge, blink, doesn't let +2, and does, ooh, the medevac with the least amount of units died. So actually went okay for MMA. A very nice drop. These are the kind of things you have to do to get back into the game, though. Little, just small engagements.
Yeah, right now, as far as upgrades, it's a good thing that you mentioned. Only +1 attack on the way for Puzzle, so it's going to be a while before he's going to have to remake that Twilight Council. He doesn't have charge, he doesn't have blink, and the
Another drop
again.
in the main, doing some more damage, killing a couple of probes. Needs to back out, though. He cannot stay for very long. Fortunately for MMA, Puzzle did not get blink, and it's going to be... Oh, does that go down? Does not go down. Saves the medevac. Very nice. But it's going to be very hard for Puzzle to defend these without blink, unless he just wants to sit in his base.
Exactly. That Twilight Council is almost remade. He's not going to be able to research... Well, he's going to be able to research +1 armor here pretty soon, but he's not going to be able to get +2 until that's done. And more gateways being added here. Right now, as far as Colossi goes, he has just one. The second one about to pop, range finishing at the same time here. And his opponent hasn't really added any Vikings into the mix, though.
I think at this point, MMA actually has no idea that Colossus are coming. You can see MMA has almost 4 ghosts. If it was a Zealot Archon timing, he would be very well prepared. As MMA, one of the things that you want to be looking out for, and maybe one of the things that he's not really noticing, is if his opponent was going Zealot Archon, he wouldn't have that many Stalkers.
Exactly.
Additional supply demands.
And, that's the reason why those drops are so effective in that kind of situation. There's not that many Stalkers, especially if you snipe the Twilight, you're like, he might not have charge now. He's not going to have those necessary upgrades for that other kind of style that he might have been doing. But now he's getting +2 weapons right now, which is...
Oh, did he see the Colossus?
He does see them, I think, with that scan.
I'm not sure he did.
Oh, he didn't, actually. I'm checking the vision. I don't think he saw it.
If he doesn't start Vikings no, he's making medevacs. He didn't see the Colossus. MMA is completely in the dark. This attack is going to be extremely scary. He really needs...
He's 50 supply up, Puzzle is too. It's actually going to be so difficult for him to hold this.
And there, he sees the Colossus. He needs to just back up now. The Ghost... Oh, man. He's just gonna have to go for it. Good EMP, good arc, needs another EMP, but there's just so many Colossus and so many units.
Well, actually, that battle went a lot better for him than it should have because of the arc, but even so, like you said, there's just too many units.
This is another example, MMA getting the right arcs, maneuvering his units, controlling them well, but he just doesn't have enough. The Dark Templar did too much damage.
And I gotta say, from here, I don't really think MMA can hold this. Colossi have range. There are no Vikings. There's no way to abuse those Colossi. That bunker's not going to help out too much. There's a lot of sentries in this composition as well. SCV is being pulled, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. The SCV is all running at the front here. The bunker falls. The SCV is falling as well. And I think this is going to be the end for MMA here. It's going to fall out of Code A, the MLG champion, falling out.
We'll probably see him at the Code A qualifiers as well. It's going to be a scary qualifiers coming up.
Yeah. GG.
And there's the GG.
Puzzle, a very strong player.
He's very good with the... I mean, he chose his name well. He played a style that was not easy to read and really abused his opponent.
I have to agree. It was puzzling. All right, enough with the puzzling jokes.
You see how I avoided using the word puzzle?
Yeah,
when I was describing that?
I did. I think I kind of knows how you avoided that. It's okay. Well, we have a lot of players losing today who just, have been in Code S in the past and now are in Code A. And of course, Puzzle, I'm kind of curious to see, maybe is he going to jump up to Code S? Is he that good? From the games I've seen him, I don't know if he's actually of that caliber.
It's really hard to tell at this point because it's like, I feel like if MMA had it in his mind going into the game, whenever my engineering bay finishes, because he had the E-bay at the right timing, whenever it finishes, I build 2 turrets. Like, what happens then? What happens when his next opponent understands his style a little bit better?
Yeah. Because if Puzzle's DTs did absolutely nothing, he would have been behind. He wouldn't have necessarily lost, but it's very hard to come back from committing to that very expensive tech and then not able to do... If you just can't do any damage with it, it's rough. It's really difficult to deal with.
Definitely. And in that second game, it was a little different because Puzzle did do quite a bit of damage with that pressure. MMA lost a lot of his army, but in the first game, like, 2 turrets, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think MMA even could have controlled a little bit better in that engagement. He lost a lot of drop ships. He didn't micro his units back over the force fields very well. And in general, I think Puzzle did a good job. But again, I'd like to see these guys battle again with the better turret timing. And even you have trouble with it. We've seen in televised games, you've had trouble with DTs. Right now, Processors are using DTs at weird timings, and it's catching Terrans off guard.
The game right now is how much can you obscure the fact that you can go DTs? You like open Immortals, and then you're like, oh, DTs. Or you open like 4-gate, and you're like, oh, DTs.
DTs can happen, man.
Yeah, they can always happen. Out of
Starcraft
anything.
1, man, you get DT dropped. You're like, I don't have enough energy on my comsat. You're trying to repair the comsat, and then the DTs are attacking it. It happens all the time.
And then like one spider mine kills the DT pulls the spider mine into your mineral line. You lose like 20 SCVs.
You just like scream and yell, and your mother's like, "What's wrong, Kevin?" And you're like, "I can't explain it to you." He's like, "I can't explain it."
You wouldn't understand.
They just don't know. DTs in StarCraft 1. I played Terran in StarCraft 1, so I understand.
Oh, you know
I understand, man.
Oh, man. DT, it was like, StarCraft 1 was like, TVP, it was like, how many times can you cheese the Terran in a row? You're like, oh, I go, what was it, 13, 15 gate and do like 6 Dragoon pressure into DTs, into Reavers, into Arbiters, into Carriers. You're like, what the hell? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, in StarCraft 1, you have a lot more... He had a lot more leniency with what you could just kind of tech to.
Oh, and here we go. This is the
results for today. Yeah, Tails beating out the Wind. Of course, Tails, a character from Sonic. The Wind just wasn't too much for him, though. He still was able to fly through. Bonbons took out Sokka in a very close and very odd series. Sheth edging out over Son after holding off Son's similar builds. They were very similar all 3 games. And then Puzzle, using some great DTs, took out MMA.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so tomorrow afternoon we've got Hyperdub versus Happy first up. Will be a TBT, and then a ZVZ, Yu-Gi-Oh versus Curious, and then after that we'll have Jinro versus Love Shiny Star, and Slayer's Boxer versus ASD Foyu.
This will be some pretty interesting games. This is basically Jinro's hope to stay in Code A. I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for Jinro, but he was in Code S. He almost won. He did really well, and he's fallen out of Code S. He's in Code A. This is really... There's going to be a lot of pressure on him.
Oh, there's so much pressure. I mean, he lost to Line, who everyone thought Line was bad when he beat Jinro before in the Super Tournament, and now he's kind of in this really, really tough spot where if he loses, what's his future going to be? He's going to have to requalify. What if he doesn't requalify? Is he going to leave Korea? You know, it's a big... For a non-Korean living in Korea to not qualify, be here for a while, it's very difficult to have this mindset of, tomorrow is my day, and if I lose, it's extremely stressful.
Yeah, it's like everything changes. You can plan up until Code A qualifiers, you can plan up to round 32, you can plan up to round 16, but after that, it's just it's a mist. You have no idea. If you win, you have one set of things that you need to do. If you lose, a whole different life basically awaits you until the next opportunity.
The round of 32 is so important. And Boxer himself, you know, he actually has been doing kind of poorly recently, and it's very important to him to do well. So I got to say, Boxer's going to be really stressed out for tomorrow too. If he loses, he's got so many fans. He feels a lot of pressure. He's even got some injuries. He said it was very difficult to move his shoulder, so it's going to be tough. So Code S and Code A will be tomorrow, so see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in. I am Wolf, and with me is QXC. Bye!
See you later.